a representative of the Soave Consortium. I am an enologist working there since 2005. And since then, I was involved in many things: experimentation, control of the production, and actually one of the things that I do more often is to go around the world to introduce the wines and the differences between the wines produced by our 75 different producers. It's an area located close to Verona, a beautiful and historic town with a long history, not only for the architecture, for the culture, but also for the viticulture. There are two main districts specialized in white wines, Soave, and red wines, Valpolicella, very well known in the world. It's an area quite particular because it's one of the few areas in Europe that is completely covered by vineyards. So there is no space for other cultivation. There is a huge density of planting of the vines that we call the Langa in Piedmont or the Champagne area in northern France. Something quite unique and a paradise for the viticulture. Well, I finished an year of study that was under the University of Padova. It was a university diploma in viticulture and enology that I follow in Conegliano, that is the town with the most ancient viticulture school that we have in Italy. It's funny that there are more ancient schools of enology in Europe, for example in Austria, that somebody can ignore, but yeah, it's strange, but Conegliano is 140 years old as a viticulture school. The studies that I follow up were under the university. Okay, so there is also a high school, but the studies that I followed when I was 21 years old was this kind of eater, because before I didn't used to drink wine or beer. I didn't enjoy it when I was younger.
Really?
Yeah. Well, it's funny that my uncle was teaching viticulture sciences in the university, but I never had this kind of interest or passion until the year that I spent under the mandatory military service. It was sent with a particular corps of the army specialized in mountains, high mountains. It's called Alpini. And they are very famous for the consumption of alcoholic things, since the beginning, since the birth of this really ancient and proud corp that dates back to exactly 1 century ago. And then I discovered this diversity, no? So many different wines in Friuli: Schioppettino, Ribolla, Sauvignon, Picolit, Pignoletto, a small universe, and I discovered that was existing this kind of school that studied this kind of sciences, and my thought was having experimented either kind of works in an industry of motorcycles before I was trying to study law, and having worked in supermarkets of great distribution, I thought I have, as Italian, to work for at least 40 years. No, it's better that I find something really interesting, enjoyable, that doesn't seem to be a job. Yeah, I was a bit lucky to enter in the 20 people admitted to this course, and then beginning from zero, I did my experiences, starting through the vineyards in Tuscany, coming back in Veneto and Friuli, doing experience that I lacked, that I missed in that period. And there is always something to learn about this wine every day. I always think that if I can codify from alpha from A to Z. Actually, after almost 20 years, I arrived to the B letter in what we can learn about this beautiful world. Yes, we are arrived probably in the two-third on the entire harvest, because the Garganega, that is the main variety that we cultivate in our area, it's a white variety, really ancient, is a late ripening variety, so normally the harvest began the 15th September 15, it goes on until the end of October. Actually, we are really happy because 2016 finally is a great vintage. Finally, after 5 vintages of climatic changes with dry or too much rains, finally we came back to a classic vintage. So actually we are harvesting the cruise that are located in the middle high part of the hills, and we will arrive at the end about October 20. What we have to do, we have to look at the past. We don't have to try to do the monkey, to copy other model of viticulture, more modern, more easy, more economic, that are able to be industrialized or mechanized, because it's not something that we can do in Soave. Everything in the hill must anyway be done by hand, for a matter of training system and for a matter of steep slopes. Because it's very risky to try to mechanize our area. Soave is a place of volcanic origin, so also in our area you can find terraces, just like in the Etna, just like in other Italian areas. We don't use the Girapoggio, or we don't use the Ritocchino. We add terraces everywhere, so it's something that you can't mechanize. Helpful to do the selection of the grapes vintage by vintage, but we have always to look back to what in the past was did. In Soave there is a very ancient tradition, so if you ask to all growers that are not able to write or read, but they know exactly what they are doing in their vineyards. Yeah, the stream eat our area in 2011, 2012, 2015. Best results come from the pergola. That is a particular training system that regard our area for the 86%. 86% of the vineyards are trained with this trellising that is typical of Verona, Soave Valpolicella, all along the river Adige, that preserve the bunches by the sun rays, and means that the grapes, the bunches grow up under a roof of leaves, a natural roof that is also a way to catch the sun rays, and is synthesized by a way to say of our old growers, I am happy if my bunch is able to see the light, the sunlight, but I'm not happy if the sun is able to see my bunches. Synthesized, very wise word. My advice is always to come to Soave to visit it, because it's not bad. It's between Venice and Verona, that are two really nice towns, and it's 20 minutes from Verona and 40 minutes from Venice. It's in the middle. It's an area full of castles, and that's because probably Romeo and Juliet history was probably happened in the Soave area, close to Verona, to Vicenza. It's an area really peaceful, no noise, no industries, only vines and medieval castles, enchanting place.
Thank you for taking the time and chatting with us.
Thanks for you. It was a pleasure. I have to go to work. Bye-bye.